She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the Toffees. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even gonna comment on that. Welcome back to Footy with the boys. A nice cough and a Modelo swig to start us off here. We got a lot to talk about, including what we thought was going to be our next coach is no longer maybe true there. We'll get some transfer updates. There was a lot of business being done in the final few days here of the preseason. Season is about to start, and people are finally making moves, finally getting some here we goes. We'll get into the U.S. Men's National Team Corner, including some updates on where we think we're headed after the Olympics here. Was it a success or not? And then, of course, our women's national team keeps succeeding. They are in the Olympic final. So we'll talk a little bit about that and get into a Footy with the Boys mailbag, as we got a lot of comments on our last video.
A lot of comments,
which is why I want to first just start us off and say thank you for all the views, all the likes, all the comments. We really appreciate that. Keep those coming. We love the comments. I love when you guys are saying Nico doesn't know ball and all that shit. We'll address these comments, but it is wildly entertaining. Yeah, that I like when you guys are straight to the point. But try and like the video, subscribe if you can. It helps us out a lot. We love seeing that type of support. Let's get into the big news, boys. Of course, our last video that had all that support was talking about Pellegrino Matarazzo and the report from Build and Kicker that he was offered the U.S. Men's National Team job. Reports have come out that he has turned down U.S. soccer. He wants to stay with Hoffenheim. In our original video, when we did mention him, we said it would be maybe harder to pull him away because he has been in Germany for 20-some years and now has Hoffenheim, his team that he started with, in the Europa League. So it is a hard pull. I don't think he's as gung-ho America above anything else as other people. He's lived in Germany. He has a German wife, a German family, speaks German primarily. So not maybe the same exact draw as there is with a Jesse Marsch or things like that. What are your thoughts on Matarazzo being ruled out from the U.S. Men's National Team job? We don't even got that pull.
Yeah, grass is always greener. I came on here and pretty much talked myself into saying I don't really want him. Called it a C- grade, below average. And now he has turned down the job.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm like, shit. No, I'm like, oh no. I don't know if we're able to get someone better. So maybe it was a bit ambitious of me to say C-. The most ambitious take, which people rightfully called me out for, was that Henry might be a better hire. I was in the moment. I was cooking. I was talking. So and that was contingent on him winning gold. No one gave me that credit, but whatever. I thought it'd be him. I prepared myself for it to be him. I still do think it was offered. Like, I still believe the original reports. I think he just turned it down, which is not the best look. That's how I see it in my opinion. I don't really have anything to go off of based off of that, but just from what we saw, it seemed really strong that day that it was at least out there. Maybe not that I don't think we ever said he accepted the job, just that it was offered. So, I'm starting to think he could have been the guy. But every time I look at his tactics again, I really don't think it fits the player pool. So it's all going to depend on who eventually ends up getting the job. If it's Wilfred Nancy, then I'm going to view this as a really big missed opportunity. If it's someone of a higher caliber, then I'm going to say we dodged a bullet. But overall, I think he would have been a good option.
Yep. And Mike, it seems like the U.S. coaching search is maybe losing some momentum here. I mean, if we can't get Pellegrino Matarazzo, an American, to come and coach the American team when he's not necessarily at the highest peaks of German football, yes, he's in Europa League, but we can't get him to come.
That is a big deal, though.
I understand that, but if we can't get him to come, how are we going to convince some large name, some home run hire, some serial winner to come to the U.S. here and coach us? I mean, the names now rumored are like the Thierry Henrys, the Wilfred Nancy, the Steve Cherundolo's. We're kind of running out of the good options, and I'm getting a little worried. Is that how you're feeling right now, or you still have full faith here?
Show me the money, dude. We got to up the bag. We got to throw a bag at some dude, and for sure they'll come. We just didn't offer enough money. I think that's what it is at the end of the day. You have to have a lure to the job. U.S. at the moment, I wouldn't think is that desirable. If we throw a bag at someone, it becomes desirable. Simple as that. I don't think Matarazzo would have been my guy. Still hoping for more of a home run hire. Still an international guy. I'm still stuck on that. A dude with international experience. I can't look past it. This is good in my book. Is it losing steam? Is it cooling down? Maybe. I think that's just some of the buzz of getting away from that initial firing from Greg Berhalter. I think it'll pick back up as soon as the Olympics is done and before the start of this upcoming season. So next couple of weeks or so.
Flex, what do you think about what Mike's? Because I've been debating this like back in my head these past couple of days. How attractive of a job is this U.S. job? Do you think?
I mean, I think exactly what he's saying is if it comes with a lot of money, it is a nice job. You have a home World Cup you're already qualified for. You're almost guaranteed to win trophies in the domestic competition, so you'll add to your trophy case. And you do have a good group of players here. So I think it's attractive, but I think you also have to take into account it is maybe for a Pellegrino Matarazzo not the person that would have advertisers say, hey, we'll fund it. Go for it. He's not the big name, so I think maybe the pay for him is a little bit lower. If you have those bigger names, maybe you can throw that cash at them, make it more attractive. But I mean, I think it's generally attractive, but obviously you're competing with England right now for if you're going for the big names, and that job's a lot more attractive, I would say. So we'll see what happens here. We'll get more into the U.S. soccer in general here in the U.S. Men's National Team Corner. But first, let's finish out the big news with Arsenal. Your Gunners beating Leverkusen 4-1. Let's not mention that it's preseason, but still a decent result here for the boys. Are you riding a high from this one, or are you keeping yourself grounded?
I don't think really either. I was pretty scared when it was Jeremy Frimpong versus Zinchenko in the opening lineups. I was like, oh boy.
Zinchenko wins.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just dominated possession the entire first half, so it didn't matter. Frimpong wasn't really on the ball. In the second half, when Frimpong did get to attack, Zinchenko looked shaky. Why doesn't Arteta just put this guy in the midfield? I think a lot of my hate for Zinchenko just comes from his defending. Like, I think everyone knows how technically gifted of a player he is. He scored a beauty today. Like, I don't know why he doesn't play in the midfield, but as long as he's a left back, I will not want him playing significant minutes for my club. Great goal today, though. Gabby Jesus looks lively, looks back to being that quick-footed, kind of slick kind of player. So that's good. Scored a decent goal. Thomas Partey's our third DM. Declan Rice is ahead of him, and so is Jorginho. Jorginho's been slow his entire life, so he knows how to like position himself to make up for it. Partey still thinks he's like an athletic freak, and he is just fallen off a cliff athletically. So the only time I want to see Partey playing is with Rice at the 8, because Rice can cover a lot of what he does, but even then, I don't know. And shout out to the young boys again, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan Waneri. Both of them looked really good. They're ready for pro minutes. Any minutes that Zinchenko's getting at left back should go to Lewis-Skelly, which I don't think should be that many minutes in general, but he should be the guy to get those. Excited for the season. We got like 2 weeks, boys. 2 weeks until we're back. Let's go.
We are almost there. The Zinchenko hate will continue for these next 2 weeks and see what happens. Let's get into some transfers because finally it seems like this summer has been awfully quiet. I know Fabrizio Romano said that the reason it being quiet is a lot of these teams thought Saudi money was coming for a bunch of players that would have kind of funded a lot of things. That did not really come. Those Saudi investors have kind of cooled down and really only have given the green light to Moussa Diaby, who did actually score a brace versus Inter today to beat them. Not nothing. Xavi Simons, though, a lot of rumors around him where he was going to go. He ends up going right back to Leipzig. So he'll be going back to that German club. And Xavi Simons was decent in the World Cup, or not the World Cup, the Euros this summer. So I think it's a pretty good move for him. But I honestly would have liked to see him at potentially a bigger club. I know Leipzig is obviously whatever. And there he is. Yeah, Xavi Simons. He has been touted since he was a child in the Barca Academy. So interesting there. Moving to what is the headliner that I'll ask you guys about here is Julian Alvarez from Manchester City to Athletico Madrid confirmed. I don't think he's signed the actual contract to become the Atleti player yet, but it's just a matter of time at this point. Going over to Atletico Madrid, joining Conor Gallagher. And Nick, is this potential for Sorloth to also join him? What does that mean for Atletico here?
But before we get into what, I mean, obviously it's a great signing for Atletico. You know, the player is a good one, underutilized at City, even though he played a lot. So, but was never the main man. At Atletico, he's going to be the main man. He's going to be the next main man for them. You know, Griezmann on the down and probably leaving, it looks like. And really the attacking option's not looking the same. You know, Carrasco's not the same guy anymore, things like that. So he's going to be the main man there. I was shocked by the price tag. 75 and 20 in added bonuses. I thought that was a crazy amount of money. I do think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. I don't know if he's like, for example, like what Falcao was for Atletico. I don't think he's at that level. But I do think he is really, really good. So at the end of the day, the price tag doesn't matter. If he plays well, you know, then it's just money. It's not my money. I'm not counting nobody's pockets. But I did think the fee was a bit big. And great job by City negotiating for getting that amount of cash. They're going to be a problem, both of them. I think Sorloth really is a good complement with his height and his physicality, and Alvarez kind of all around game. So maybe we get back into probably not still, but maybe a little 3-horse race in La Liga. What do you think, Trace?
I think it could be a 3-horse race. I think it's definitely a lot of money, no doubt about it. But I think it's worth every single penny. I think this is one of those guys that Atletico Madrid was known for. They always had an elite striker, whether it was David Villa, Sergio Aguero, Forlan, Falcao, you name it. Julian Alvarez is next up. He's in that ilk, same cloth. I think he's going to score so many goals. I think Pichichi's in the cards right away, season 1. And I think they can contend. Madrid's obviously a juggernaut. I think Barcelona will be a little bit better than they were last season, and they were solid last year. And I think Atleti will be very, very good. If they have Griezmann, I think he can make him even better. I think he's got another season or 2 in him, but it looks unlikely at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Griezmann may be staying. There's only a week left for them to work out something with the MLS. But, I mean, either way, Diego Simeone has started to play a little bit more attacking. That will help out Julian Alvarez here. Conor Gallagher also joining them. They are investing quite a bit in their team here. So, fun to see what Atletico Madrid will look like this season, and obviously La Liga in general. I mean, with Lamine Yamal and then the absolute Thanos squad that Real Madrid is, it will be something to watch over there in Spain. But speaking of MLS moves, with Griezmann being rumored to LAFC joining Giroud, we have another European star going to LA, and it is to the Galaxy. Marco Reus announced today officially that he would be going to LA Galaxy. That is a team that already is doing quite well in the MLS, playing some nice brand of soccer there with Ricky Puig and Gabriel Peck out there. So some very good players. Marco Reus added to the fold here. Sounded like he also had an offer from Charlotte FC with a lot more money on the line. Chose to go to LA. His family wanted that. Very understandable there. And I guess he just didn't want to join Tim Ream going back to Charlotte FC. Could you believe that? The Fulham legend leaving Fulham and going to Charlotte FC. But Mike, what does this mean? Maybe not just solely for LA Galaxy and what they are, but that there is such an arms race of players that aren't over the hill in MLS. You're getting the Griezmanns who you still think have a year or two. Royce certainly could play another year or two. The Giroud that could certainly play another year. You're getting these players, and it's starting to stack up the talent, and you're getting the young talent like the Gabriel Pecks, the Diego Gomez's at Inter. That's making this MLS squad a little bit more interesting to watch.
I think they still are over the hill. These guys don't transition that well. But it's still cool regardless. I think it makes for a better watch. I'll tune into games if I recognize a big name player. I think ticket sales are obviously huge. Messi's done just a ton by himself. And I think jersey sales too. Like, that's a big thing. People are going to want a Marco Reus LA Galaxy kit. That'll be cool. Kids will want that. I'll want that. For the actual level of MLS, the game, I don't think it does a whole lot. I think they still have a long ways to go. I don't think getting a few vets here and there is a long-term solution. They've always done it. Maybe they're doing it a bit more, but the level of the league's still relatively the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly what the revenue that Royce brings in, you kind of see with Inter Miami, is you can invest a lot more in the youth side with Diego Gomez being flipped for from 5 million to 18 million to Brighton now. So you're starting to see maybe that floor, the younger player investment strategy working out here. Nick, how dope is this that LA Galaxy is getting Marco Reus, and we might have a French trifecta of Hugo Lloris, Giroud, and Griezmann going to the other side of LA?
Yeah, listen, I think over the hill is a bit harsh by Trace. Past their prime for sure, but I think Royce still has some good years left in him. He's instantly going to be, top 5-3 player in the MLS. So I think, over the hill might be a lot, but I think it's great, especially for LA. Like, El Tráfico is actually like a pretty good watch anytime you watch it. Both teams are usually pretty good. Galaxy is ripping it up this year, and I think Galaxy already came to play in San Jose. But if they played at Stanford Stadium, but if they were to come back, I'd definitely be buying tickets. That's someone I'd want to go watch. So I think it's a great thing. They have done this before. Trace nailed it with that one. I mean, it's been a pseudo retirement home for quite some time. So this doesn't really change the floor, like he said. I agree with that. But nonetheless, I mean, it is a very cool thing that Marco Reus is playing football in MLS.
Yeah, absolutely. LA Galaxy getting back to their form and now getting back to having the stars that they are accustomed to. That LA market certainly going to have some soccer interest there. Moving to Marco Reus's former Dortmund teammate, Nicholas Füllkrug, making the move to West Ham with Guido Rodriguez. Nicholas Füllkrug, a bit of an older striker, but he has been just clinical. He is a striker. What do you see out of him in the Premier League here, Mike, in terms of production?
I like this signing a lot. I think West Ham operate really well, having a target guy. Mikel Antonio, solid player, but Füllkrug's even better at doing those things. He's more of a high-volume goal scorer. I like the Guido Rodriguez move a lot, too. I thought they spent the money from the Declan Rice sale pretty well last year. Brought in some strong midfield options with Edson Alvarez and Ward-Prowse, but Guido Rodriguez is a very solid defensive pivot option. Was really good at Betis. I think both of these moves make them a stronger team.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham are certainly looking to continue off some of the momentum they had with some talented players last season and adding some new ones to the mix with Somerville and Füllkrug. Let's move into some transfer rumors. I'm going to list them off. You let me know which one do we like the most and which one seems the most unlikely. Juventus freezing out Chiesa, Szczesny, McKennie, and a whole list of players. Weah is in the plans for the project. Wes McKennie to Fiorentina. There has been talks there, but not at advanced stages due to McKennie's salary level. Chiesa now says he wants AC Milan as a potential option. Has also been in contact with Roma. Seems like he may be staying in Italy. Osimhen staying in Italy. Rumored to Chelsea. Chelsea maybe not so much anymore after they just signed another striker. But Arsenal also has been in talks with Napoli about Osimhen. Certainly an interesting one there. Liverpool now getting active in the transfer market, trying to tempt Zubamendi in. He has a $60 million release clause, I believe it was. So wouldn't be cheap, but potentially they could get him over to Liverpool to add to that midfield. And then Moukoko to Marseille as Nketiah is falling through. It seems like Arsenal maybe put that price tag a little too high for what Marseille were looking for. Boys, I'll start with Nick here because there was quite a bit of Arsenal talk here with Nketiah and Osimhen to Arsenal. Which one catches your eye? What are you thinking here?
The one that catches my eye the most is Zubamendi one, actually. He has been heavily linked with Arsenal. Arteta is a admirer. I would have loved him here at the club. I think he's a really good player. I think that he's very underrated because he plays at Sociedad. But you guys know me, I love the number 6 position, and he's one of my favorites. So I think he's going to be perfect for what Arne Slot's trying to do. He's not going to be the sole 6, which, I think is a good call. I think he can be the sole number 6, but it's not where he's best suited. When he's in that pivot, he has a little bit more freedom to do everything. So really good connector of play, really good work rates. I like him a lot, and I think that would make Liverpool substantially better and definitely worth the 60 million release clause in my mind. The one I think is most unlikely, I don't know. I think an interesting one, maybe not that's unlikely, but also one we didn't mention on the sheet, is that Solanke seems to be picking up some steam to Tottenham. I don't know. I know he's played well for Bournemouth, but that one seems like a lot to rely on Dominic Solanke for the goals. And maybe he's matured. Maybe I'm still stuck on, when he first kind of left Liverpool and had not fully matured. He's definitely a different player now, but I think it'd be a lot of pressure on his shoulders to lead that line of attack. But there is reported interest of Nketiah in England, possibly for Bournemouth if Solanke leaves, possibly for Brentford if Tony leaves. So I think Arsenal will get at least 30 for him at the end of the window, in my opinion. But it is too bad. I think it would have been good at Marseille.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had a decent offer. There was 27 million from Marseille for Nketiah, and it was turned down, which to me, I don't know. I'm obviously not in Mikel Arteta's plans of what he's thinking for Nketiah, and if he says, hey, maybe I want him to stay, but 27 million for Nketiah, who necessarily hasn't been the most inspiring, seems like a pretty decent deal. Mike, Osimhen, though, potentially coming in at the striker position for Arsenal. What do you make of that rumor here as Chelsea kind of signed a different striker, which seemed like the more likely home for him?
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Makes Arsenal stronger, more of a contender. I think it could be a title-winning piece. I think it'd be good for the player. I know he definitely wants out of Napoli. Definitely be a better fit than Chelsea is at the moment. But do I think Arsenal's going to buy a player for that much money? No. Do I think Chelsea still might? Yeah. It doesn't matter that they just signed another player. That money pit's endless. They don't care about the number of numbers available or spaces in the locker room. They'll make it fit. That's where I expect them to still go.
Yeah, I am confused. I saw quite literally, they do have like the size of an NFL roster. They have like 57 players on their squad.
Crazy.
They're still bringing in more. And I can't really say that any of them that they're bringing in are, oh my God, amazing addition to the squad. Their immediate starter. It's mostly rotation pieces or development pieces. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what their plan is. But Nick, I'll give it back to you before we move forward here from these transfers to just talk about Osimhen at Arsenal potentially here.
Yeah, I don't think it happens unless, space gets opened up. I think Arteta has talked a lot about, we've now moved to a stage in our transfer policy of like ingoings and outgoings, kind of a one player in, one player out kind of vibe, which I personally like. I think, keep the squad tight. I don't know what the hell Chelsea's doing, which I think we all feel that way. So, I do think, if we buy him, I'll back him. I'll be really excited about it. It is a little scary to just put title winning hopes on a guy who's Premier League unproven. I think he'll make the squad better. I think it'll be a lot of pressure if we end up signing him. He's definitely incredibly talented. Still a young guy, though. Going to have to learn the system. We'll play with fantastic players, so that's going to help him a lot. But definitely makes us a better side. I wouldn't count on him for like 20 goals, which for that money, like I think you're kind of looking for 20 plus goals. So I would back him. I would take him. I wouldn't really care about the price tag because if you can get that talent level in, again, not my money. But I wouldn't just say it's a surefire, okay, now we're winning the league. He's going to compete with Haaland for the Golden Boot. That's a bit of a strong take.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there really is any type of signing other than like Mbappe that you would say, oh, surefire, they're the favorite for the league. But I think Osimhen, if you're given the choice of Chelsea or Arsenal, you're choosing Arsenal, right? I mean, that's a lot of
if you're given the choice of 600,000 a week versus 220,
as we talked about the U.S. job, there are ways to make jobs more attractive than they may seem, and money is certainly one of them. But yeah, certainly a lot of transfers going on. MLS transfer window ends in a week, so we may see some more moves, including Antoine Griezmann coming up here soon. But of course, we'll see some more European transfers and keep you updated on all of those. Let's get into the U.S. men's national team corner here. Let's start with kind of a macro view of the U.S. at the Olympics. The women are doing well. The men have not. Let's save the sweet treat for the end of the women's team and how they're doing. Let's talk about the men's. We lost to Morocco, a team that was out there and they completely outclassed us. They were much better. They brought their A squad. They're going for gold. And if it weren't for Spain really showing up, they might have had that shot at gold. They were very, very good in that game against Spain. It was, I think, 50-50, really. But we do end up losing in the quarterfinal. Our only wins are against Guinea and New Zealand. Mike, was this tournament a success here?
No, I couldn't call it a success. I don't think that means it's a bad tournament because I don't believe it was a bad tournament. I thought there were moments of good play, inspired performances from several players. I thought some guys really stood out. Some young players made a mark on the tournament and in the hierarchy of United States, eligible players. Some good things. There were a lot of bad moments, though. I thought our senior player selection bit us in the ass. I was worried going in with the tournament with those three guys, and really none of them proved me wrong. I thought Walker Zimmerman looked the best out of the three by a decent margin, but did nothing special. And the other two kind of were detrimental to the team's success at times. Mihalovic took up a space in the midfield that could have been used for a younger, more skillful player. And Miles Robinson was not nearly as solid in the back as you'd expect from a fucking veteran, a dude who's played a lot of games for this.
Walker was better.
I mean, Walker was better, and it's not even close. So couldn't be a success. If we would have been in a closer match against Morocco, got a goal, didn't get embarrassed, maybe we could have called it success. But anytime you get played off the pitch in that kind of fashion, man, that was brutal. We weren't anywhere near being in that match.
Yeah, and Nick, a lot of kind of aftermath of this, because anytime you lose 4-1 or lose, was it 4-0, right?
4-0. 4-0?
4-0, yeah. Anytime you lose by that big of a margin and quite honestly don't look like you're in it at any point, it looked like Morocco had it from start to finish. They were just the better side. A lot of quotes come out, a lot of thoughts are shared, and Walker Zimmerman, as an overage player, did come out and he said that he wanted to reiterate to the players how important it is to play for the badge and play for the country, and how this should not be taken for granted, being able to play for your national team. I mean, that maybe a shot at the senior national team where people are starting to get a little bit comfortable? Because that is a narrative that's coming out nonstop of a bunch of people saying, yeah, it was comfortable. It's comfortable. People are getting locked into their spots. They know they're going to start. Is that a shot by Walker Zimmerman saying, hey, these people are getting a little too cozy in that national team position and their roles?
Listen, the narrative is coming out, and I am fully buying the narrative. I am all in. It is the same old from just the entire U.S. Soccer Federation at the moment. We need a culture shift, and I don't know if that comes in these next 2 years. You know, I'm more than anything focused on let's make a good, gritty run in this World Cup. Maybe you need a culture shift for that to happen in the World Cup, but I think once 2026 is done, you give a guy a full, 4-year cycle to really get that done. Either way, though, I mean, just, beat teams that aren't competitive, lose any time a team is competitive, and ultimately flame out with people hyping talent that ultimately is probably overrated. We're going to continue to talk about younger players and what we have coming up and who of these guys can make the men's national team roster. And none of that matters unless what Walker Zimmerman says actually comes to life, that these dudes are playing for the United States. Like, they're not playing in an international tournament. They're playing for a country. And that is something that we've lost. And I think a lot of that is because we've hyped up these really young players. And like you said, like a lot of these guys feel cemented in their spots, which is maybe part of like talent rising, but not consistent talent. So I don't know. I'm completely buying this narrative, and a culture shift is needed.
A culture shift is needed, certainly, and that's why this new manager will be so important. Tyler Adams came out on The Captain, a Men in Blazers podcast, and said that we need a manager that'll come in and essentially he said he doesn't want somebody to listen to them and coddle them or give them comfort. He needs to be harsh and let them know exactly what they need to be doing, and not, have people in his ear telling him, hey, I think maybe this would be good, or blah, blah, blah.
Which, by the way, really quickly, Matarazzo was going to be that same guy of being like relationships friendly.
Not.
Yes, dude, definitely.
That is not Matarazzo. He does not.
Wow, the whole thing that he was saying in his interviews is like how he loves to build relationships with these players, and he's like wants to do everything to support them. Like 100%, that would have been him.
I would still want that from a coach. That's not meaning that he's going to be soft and easy on them, though. He's not a Greg Berhalter, very much so. And Jordan Morris came out on a podcast and said that his whole thing was super structured tactics, and he wanted it to be a family. He wanted every single meal out to be gone out with coaches and other players and build that culture. Whereas with a Jurgen or a Bruce Arenas, he said it was both on the field and off the field, less organized. It was more free-flowing, both with how you got along with teammates and on the field. Tactically, it wasn't as drilled down. Every run, what you're supposed to make. Everything was planned out. I think that's more of a Greg Berhalter kumbaya.
I wasn't talking about Berhalter. I know Berhalter's a clown.
I'm saying, you're saying it won't change, but I don't think Pellegrino is at that echelon. I think it's just a Greg Berhalter big issue that was all he was about. But maybe. Let's we've gone a little negative with the US. Let's get to a bit of positive, or a little ray of sunshine for our US men's team before we go into the constant sunshine that is the US women's national team. Maybe one day we'll get there. We do have Peyton Miller at the New England Revolution, a 16-year-old left back, starting and looking very well, looking so well that they traded away DeJuan Jones, their outside back, so that he can get more minutes. Obviously, Kevin Sullivan is doing great, and Mathis Albert, also a prodigy for that age from the LA Galaxy, going to Dortmund, signing that deal. Really, that whole age group is going to be rather fucking good. The MLS has been performing well against all the Liga MX teams and bringing in more young talent. A lot of moves here being made towards the end of the transfer window to bring in European talent, South American talent. So like seeing that. And then, of course, we still have that manager that could turn this around. We could get that big name. So there are some reasons for optimism. The reason for optimism for the women's team are pretty easy, and that's just because they fucking win. So the women's national team are in the Olympic final versus France here, or no?
Brazil.
Oh, it was Brazil. That was
Brazil.
Yeah. So France, Brazil, who upset Hervé Renard and France in the knockouts, and then also upset in the semifinal to get here against the Spanish, the stacked team that is that Spanish squad that won the World Cup. Now you have the big three, Swanson, Rodman, and Smith. They each have 3 goals this tournament. Mike, is the women's national team not the shining case for the men's of how much an impact a manager can have? Emma Hayes takes over, and they're immediately into a major final here for the Olympics after Vlatko did not have them looking too hot.
I definitely think it's indicative of how much an impact a manager can have.
I don't.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Back?
Did I freeze?
Yeah.
I'm back.
You are back.
Well, I'll restart my spiel. I think it's indicative of manager's impact, especially a proven manager. And there's no one more proven than Emma Hayes in the women's game. She's done it all on the club level. And now has a team that's always had skill. United States women's national team, never been a doubt about their skill level, the player pool. Now it's coming to fruition because they have a good coach who knows how to utilize them, is a little bit vicious in her player selection, cuts out some of the older players, and Alex Morgan's not in this roster. Some of that's, it's a limited pool. Some of that is she wants the specific players that she has now. She's getting the best out of them. The attack looks great. The midfield's very strong. A bunch of players coming in and out. Corbin Albert hasn't started every match, but she's really good in the moments that she has played. Scored a great goal. And the defense, Germa and the people surrounding
Germa.
World class. I mean, Hayes said she's the best she's ever seen. I'm not as deep with my knowledge in the women's game, but from what I've watched, she is incredible. There's no doubt about that. A leader, a young player, plays beyond her years. This team is great to watch. Teams are really playing low block against them, so the score lines don't flatter us. Japan was a great example of that.
Back.
I mean, they put everybody behind the ball. It was like watching Athletico Madrid of late when they made those deep Champions League runs. To the manager, to the women's national team. No, we can't do the same thing exactly with the men's team because we don't have the same level of skill compared to other men's national teams like our women's team does. But putting in the right manager, a strong leader, a proven manager with a good track record can point us in the right direction, and we can get the best out of our team, which at the end of the day is all I really want. I want a team that's performing to their capabilities or a little bit beyond. I'm not asking for the world here. I'm asking for something obtainable.
Yeah, I mean, headlines will go to the trident of attack here that have been reinvigorated under Emma Hayes. You can see the massive difference on how just the attacking play comes about with this U.S. women's team, and Naomi Germa in the back. They would not be here without her. She is absurdly good at that center back position. But certainly, yeah, you can see that manager has quite the impact. The U.S. maybe not on such the downfall that people were saying in terms of talent around the world. They still have so many of the best players in the world. It was just, you actually have to be able to use them correctly for that to show. You hope we can get something close to that for the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, a different level because the women's team are all kind of world-class players and the best in their positions. Men's not quite there yet, but certainly
Development, we need
that manager job is important. And Emma Hayes has proven that she is her, capital H-E-R. Going to our star boy for the men's, we have CP10, Christian Pulisic, at the number 10 for AC Milan in their friendly against Barcelona. He gets the start here after just having a few minutes in their previous preseason games, just to get him back up to speed. Start, and he gets a goal and an assist within the first 15 minutes from the number 10 role. Paulo Fonseca the new AC Milan manager coming over from Lille, has talked about how he just looks natural. Anytime he plays on the wing, he cuts inside and he is so good at combination. It just works for him at the 10. And certainly with a trident of Chukwueze, Pulisic, Leao, I mean, that is dangerous for any team. And then you have Morata coming in up top. Very, very interesting to watch there. In that game, Musa also got the start. He's gotten some raving reviews from Paulo Fonseca as well. Looked good in kind of handling pressure and dribbling it up the field. And then Diego Cochin was on the bench for Barcelona, the young American goalkeeper. Let's go through our Footy with the Boys mailbag here to close us off. We start with John Wilson. And Nick, I just want you to make sure you are mentally prepared because a lot of these are directed your way. John Wilson, 121283. The only thing that annoys me about the news is that someone in USSF is adamant about the next coach being American. I'm more than okay with Matarazzo being hired, but if he's being chosen over a better coach just because he's American, then it's just another example of the Federation stepping in to prevent progress. I mean, this is just facts, right? I mean, if USSF is demanding an American, Matarazzo's not a bad choice, but does that slow us down? Does that prevent the progress that we need here, Mike?
Yeah. No, you can't limit yourself like that. You cut out most of the pool of qualified candidates. There's a handful of American guys who are remotely qualified for this job.
Handful might be a stretch at this point, to be honest. It's that hand is not quite full yet. Nick, we'll get into some of your comments. E.T. Goodman 7 says, you lost me at Southgate. Matarazzo every day over him. You were saying Thierry Henry and Gareth Southgate. What are your thoughts on this comment here?
Listen, I fully admit that Thierry Henry was just me on a roll. You know, I overstepped there. So all of you flaming me in there for the Thierry Henry take, valid, perfectly okay. I don't take it personally, and I love that you're on the comments talking to us. I appreciate you, boys. If you're picking Matarazzo over Southgate, I just think that's a mistake, in my opinion, and a big one.
You're dumb.
Seriously, if you are he's gotten such a bad rap, and he did underperform with England. He was right to be let go from that job. Let me make that
he was not
very
clear.
clear.
He left.
He was right to step down from the job then. Okay, whatever. He was not the guy who, after 6 years, continued to progress that team. He would make so much progress on our team just simply by playing to our strengths. I think that his style of football is perfectly suited to what American football should be. And I think it would end up working out.
Was Greg Berhalter.
No, it was not Greg Berhalter. Stop
it was very similar.
Oh,
they were not good in Nick. Tactically, he was not getting the most out of England, and they had all the talent. You think he's going to come to America and all of a sudden get the most out of his talent when he couldn't do it with fucking England?
He kept things so much more simple than what Greg Berhalter did. You just spent 20 minutes talking about how rigid and stupid his tactics
on Greg Berhalter, but I don't think he's a good choice for manager here.
I'm sorry, you're blind. He has proven time and time again that he knows how to navigate tournaments. And I feel like I've said this 100 times, so please let me make this abundantly clear. This hire is not about the next 6 years. This hire is about the next less than 2 years. This is a home World Cup. Imagine
and if you hire Gareth Southgate,
stop talking to me. Imagine a semifinal American run. Do you know what that would do?
Not happening with Southgate.
They ain't happy with Matarazzo either,
Southgate
dude.
did it with England. They have 10 times the talent of us.
Southgate has experience in major international tournaments of making it deep into the tournament. That is the experience that I need for this job. That is the number one thing I'm looking for in the next year and a half, 2 years. Everything else, tactics, everything else, let's worry about that after the World Cup. Let's worry about it after. Right now, I need a guy who I know can get me deep in a tournament because this is an inflection point in American football. A deep run in this World Cup, and I mean like a semifinal, quarterfinal, even semifinal run would do amazing things for the state of soccer in this country. And if you're telling me that Southgate can't manage to get a deep run, you are turning a blind eye to the facts simply because England did not achieve their full potential.
He doesn't get the most. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. He did not fulfill their best potential. He has all the talent in the world. He has all the talent in the world.
What did he do?
Hasn't won anything.
What did he do? What did he do?
God-awful in every
what
single
did he
game.
do? What did he do?
Because you have the most talented team, and you
finals
get
and a semi.
Michael,
finals
what did
and
he do?
semifinals with the most talented team.
Got it.
But you're underperforming constantly. Everybody's saying how underperforming England looks. He's not getting the best out of players. He's not getting the best out of the team.
Jared, I don't give a fuck about a 7 out of 10 match performance. Give me results. Give me wins. Give me tournament runs. Don't make it pretty. Make it real.
I don't give a shit about the CONCACAF Nations League.
You and all the other American fans are thinking 5 years down the line when we need to be thinking a year and a half. We need to be thinking international experience, and we need proven tournament run. You guys are getting all your priorities messed up. All the people who say that they want this guy over one of the most experienced, highest performing international managers in the game currently, you guys have lost the
Okay, Mike, I'm glad you cut you off so hard. He
was going so hard, bro.
Gareth Southgate has underperformed. He has not gotten the most out of that England squad. They have so much talent. It has never looked up to the potential of that talent. That talent is insane. The amount of talent he has and how shit they look. They barely scrape by versus Slovenia, versus Slovakia, versus Netherlands, versus anybody. They barely scrape by through all these. Yes, they have all the talent in the world to carry them through. It's similar to what Thierry Henry is doing at the Olympics, as you have Michael Olise, who's wildly better than everyone and can bail you out with amazing service.
You have Mateta.
Yes, but it's still soccer, and it's still carried by talent, is what I'm saying. Gareth Southgate was carried by England's talent. If you actually watch the way the team plays, it is not good. It is not to their talent level. They play below their level, and it works because it's England, and they have all the talent in the world. But if he comes to the U.S., we have to be honest about our player pool. We are not fucking England. We are not able to play below our potential.
Such a myopic view of what England was under Gareth Southgate. Gareth Southgate, England, one of the best defensive tournament teams in a long, long time. They didn't concede goals. Yeah, they didn't play progressive football that was pretty to watch, but they played effective tournament football. That's what I need.
Listen, really quick, and you can have the last word after I say this, Flags, and we can move on because there's a lot more people shitting on me in the comments. But just really quick, and two managers that I don't think are being talked about enough. But just last thing on Southgate. When Jose Mourinho was having all the success with Chelsea and parking the bus, these guys don't play progressive, pretty football, and they still got results. And a lot of people, I think, are fixated on like club success. Why does that not then attribute to what Southgate does? Because there hasn't been pretty tactics in the front. That's right. I think that they could be better served by a different manager. I agree, England, but I think he could be the right guy for us right now. And I really believe that. And I think that of the options, he is the best one. If you want to say Hervé Renard, you can convince me there. But I really think that just real experience navigating a difficult tournament and being defensively solid is enough to hopefully get a run that can change the future of this sport in this country.
Yeah, I just do not think that at all. I think that's what Greg Berhalter did, and it does not work out because we don't have the quality. Let me just say this, because we don't have the quality up top that England has. You can be defensively sound, just like Greg Berhalter had us in the World Cup, not conceding goals.
No,
defensively sound is the only thing we goddamn were.
Oh,
no.
We got goals canned by Netherlands.
Yes, but against Wales, against Iran versus England, we are defensively sound. That is what Greg Berhalter's game plan was, to be defensively sound. He got all of his inspiration from Gareth Southgate to be defensively sound. But unlike England, who have world-class attacking talent that they can come in with from the start, that they can sub in at any point to give him an extra kick, we don't have that. We do not have that. We have shown that we cannot attack. We can't get goals if we're just thinking about defense. That's what has been all of the last 5 years under Berhalter. He's so concentrated on not conceding that we don't know how to fucking score goals. But Nick, let's get into some more hate on you here. Actually, this one isn't even hate on you. I think the most one is just the last, and we'll save that one because it is the best. Next one is Louis Van Gaal, who shit on Greg Berhalter after the World Cup, so already has a bit of a soft spot in my heart. But he said, I'm not even going to read the nickname. My dream is Van Gaal. I think there's no one else in the market that is best suited to prepare us in just 2 years. I don't dispute it. I don't hate it at all. He's coached the Dutch, and he knows the U.S. players. If he's looking for a job, I think he's not a bad shout, and I don't think he's really been talked about much at all here.
Yeah, weird that he hasn't been brought up. Yeah, great hire. Would be fantastic.
I think
he needs more buzz. He needs more buzz. We need to back him a little more because that would be a home run.
PR sucks. Whoever is handling that man's PR, his agent, needs to be a little bit more out there, or he just doesn't want the job. That maybe
he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, he's just like, fuck that. I already saw what they can do, and I am not for it. Oh, we move to X Crooner 2929. I agree, they're very different jobs. My first choice, speaking about club versus international, my first choice was Pochettino. I do not want these guys that are strictly international managers. I like Poch because he has worked with a lot of younger players. You saw Chelsea at the end of the year. They were playing much better. I just don't see him selecting us with England still being out there. Obviously, Pochettino also being rumored with that England job. So that's kind of what we've said is England does stand an obstacle for landing a big name because they're a bigger name. So they're going to get those first shots at those big names. But Pochettino here
Southgate. XC
has
fed up that guy. But
who? This guy?
Yeah, XC runner, not X Crunner.
Hey, for real, yeah, this guy, shout out to him. Looks like a gunner from his profile picture. He subbed and also did a nice little back and forth with us. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate the engagement. Would not want Poch. Nah.
Mike, he's worked with young players. Chelsea looked good in the attack.
Yeah,
Nico Jackson could finish anything,
but he would still be I think a strong hire. I would be happy with it.
Yeah, I think still a strong hire would be. You could not say this was not a hire really going for it if you're hiring Pochettino. But once again, as Mike says, we'd have to pay up some cash for this guy. Give me your money. Finally, we close off on the best of the comments, and it is the word "the way." And God damn it, the way this word sounds is amazing. He goes, "I don't agree with Nick." Nick, any comment, any response to that? I like this.
Listen, I think he just kind of summarized the vibes in this comment section. Just I don't agree,
sweet, bro.
Yeah, I think he got to the point. Yeah, a lot of other people were much more hurtful. This guy just got to it. So I like the forwardness. Shout out to that guy.
This comment should be pinned
when middle word do trick.
Every single one of our videos, dude.
This should be our first
how I'm feeling. This is how Jared feels. This needs to happen more.
We need that opinion to keep us humbled here. Boys, a lot of transfers, a lot of talk about the US, some debate about a certain British manager. What are your final thoughts here as we head into about a week out of the Premier League starting and into a U.S. women's national team gold medal match? Mike?
Shout out the ladies for doing what they do. Hopefully they can beat Brazil. Brazil's been fun watch. Marta's last international game, I believe. So go give that one a watch. Super excited for the return of Premier League, European football, you name it. Watched a little bit of that AC Milan Barcelona game last night, and it gave me the itch. I am ready.
Thanks.
Everton has me a little bit excited. I know I shouldn't be.
they may not scratch that itch, but goddamn it, we'll be there.
Dude, I'm ready for it, dude. Jared Branthwaite, Tarkowski, still there. Anything could happen. Saw a picture of Jordan Pickford training in the gym today. Anything could happen. Could be a magical season. Definitely will not be, but it could be. Good episode, boys. Nick, what you feeling going into the season?
Hey, Premier League preview coming this weekend. Make sure to catch it. Excited for the Gunners, baby. Let's get it going.
Hoorah! That has been Footy with the Boys.